Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. The episode today is for you if you're asking a question that I hear very often in our Mommy Tantrum trainings, or also in the one-on-one free assessment calls I'm doing with people who are interested in joining us inside the Zen Supermom program. And the question is, well, okay, I get it. You're helping moms not to yell, but can that even help my children? I'm afraid I traumatized them already too much because I was so stressed out. I was yelling. I was putting all of my perfectionist, controlling patterns on them. So you can already start seeing them being less and less confident, getting more introverted, having problems creating relationships and connections at school or with their friends. And they are more and more closing up. Or then also they're becoming bullies. They have problems with behavior at school because teachers label them as problematic and too aggressive, and they tell the other kids, like, don't play with that child. So I get it. It's like, can I help my child too? Please, like, yes, help me. But can that help my child too? We are going to talk about it in this podcast episode. And just to not hold that suspense any longer, of course, yes, you can help. As I always say, one healed mom is more powerful than a team of childhood psychologists or even like ADHD medications and stuff. So, want to know more? Hi, Supermom or Superdad. Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist and the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And me and my team have helped hundreds of moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm. And this is the first parenting podcast that is not about your kids, that shows you why none of the parenting techniques helped you stop yelling at your kids and how to control your emotions from jumping out so that you can be the safe, loving parent you wish you had growing up. This is the Zen Supermom podcast. Hi, my name is Alena and I'm a mommy tantrum specialist. Yeah, I work with parents, especially with moms, who want to stay calm and be this ever-loving, giving, wonderful parent for your kids, but also making sure they listen to you and they respect the boundaries you want to set without you having to yell. This is what I do. And very often when parents come to me to stop the yelling and also stop the people-pleasing, the wishy-washy boundaries, like I kind of say, yes, you can have a cookie before dinner, you can watch a movie tonight, one day, and then when you say no the other day, the kids go ballistic. So you heard it already from all these parenting courses, books, script. You already know kind of like what should be happening, but you can't make that happen because of your uncontrollable anger and also because of you feeling not good enough, you being afraid of being judged by other parents, by your parents, by your friends, by people in the store, by teachers at school. So you're trying to massage all of these feelings inside of you, like not to feel that, trying to do everything you can to be the best mom ever for your kids, and it's not really working out. And as the kids grow up and you start seeing some impact of it, maybe it used to work even that when you yelled initially, when they were not listening, at least when you yelled, you got their attention. And because you didn't know what else to do, you just kept yelling when the situations were escalating. But now it came to a point when it's not even working, because when they grow older, they get used to it. And you see them repeating exactly the same thing. Either back to you, they start yelling, hitting back, or they start yelling, blaming, criticizing, and kind of even like bullying their younger siblings. And that's when you realize, oh shoot, I do need help, please, as soon as possible. My child is mirroring back my worst nightmares, the things I hate about myself. My child is mirroring the same thing. And many of them who come from my free Mommy Tantrum Training, they understand, yes, there's a help. They understand, okay, this is why none of those parenting techniques will ever work. This is why not even anger therapy or talk therapy will ever work. They understand what it's going to take instead. But then the next question is, okay, but how about my kids? Okay, because my daughter is already too shy, my son is already too aggressive, or the other way around. Okay, we are not going to have here any like gender discrimination. I have worked with parents who had aggressive, manipulative, even like to the point of being narcissistic daughters, and super shy, even self-harming boys. Yeah. So this is not gender. Let's not put any gender boxes into how the trauma can show up in their kids. It can go either way for either of the genders. And it is a problem in any way. Not even talking about symptoms like ADHD. I even made a specific podcast episode about that, because many parents who come to us saying, my child is ADHD or on the spectrum with autistic traits, any kind of this, what they blame it on the genetics and on the brain malfunctions. Once the mom heals, the child starts calming down and feeling better and healthier as well. Yes. So I want to preface this episode by saying I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not an ADHD specialist. I'm not, what else? I'm not any of these things. I will never tell you go off medication or do this, do that. What I want to share here with you is for inspiration, my experience working with hundreds of families over the past years, and showing you through their examples what is possible. Okay? Because so often the first problem is that you have already maybe tried so much. You have been trying for years and nothing is working. And so now you're frustrated and depressed and you either give up, or you're thinking like, this is really me. I messed up and that's what it is. And just like my parents messed me up, now I just messed my kids up and there's nothing I can do about it. And that's not true. Okay? So let's look into it. I mentioned that I have been working with families. I think there's one distinction I need to make. I do primarily work with parents only. With moms, then often moms bringing the dad as well on board. And I love that. I love courageous dads who are not afraid of doing this work, this really inner journey. Absolutely fantastic. I have worked with some children, or let's be specific, teenage girls in the past. But the situations were very specific. Those were victims of sexual abuse. So if that's the case for your kids, if that's where their anxieties and problems are coming from for your kids, then absolutely you need to look for specific help. You need to work with professionals who are specialized in doing that. I worked with a couple of teenage girls because their moms started working with me and I helped them heal their sexual abuse trauma. And so then they brought their girls, they brought their daughters. The challenge with these cases and why I don't do this work anymore is because legally it's challenging to start with, because I need signatures of both parents. They both need to sign the contract and be on board, which is tough, especially if the sexual abuser was the father of the girl. But even in the situations when both parents are on board, working with the teenagers, working with somebody who does not have the relationship with you, just like you already have a relationship with me. Maybe we never even met, but you already binged some of my podcasts, like previous podcast episodes, you have seen some of my stuff. It's like you kind of already know. The problem is if you would be dragged into it. So if this was the first time you're seeing me, you have no idea who I am and what I do, and somebody just tells you, come and sit and have a chat with this crazy lady. It's not even just about my hair, but yeah, I'm having fun with that. But you would feel like, what the heck? And can I trust you? And what is this about? And I'm scared. And I already shared my story with so many other people and it just feels icky. And they didn't help me anyways. Why should I trust you? So that's why I don't work even with teenagers anymore. Okay. And if your kids have suffered any kind of shock trauma, so sexual abuse, rape, physical violence, any physical trauma that they have been through, some physical accidents that have damaged their bodies and it left also a mental, emotional scar on their mind, on their brain, then really I will refer you, like go and work with the specialist. Who I work with the most often and why I got so much work that I even started building a team and I'm not doing all of that by myself anymore is really the parents. And I have seen it over and over again. We have had really hundreds of clients so far. And I keep in touch, or to be precise, they keep in touch. I keep receiving emails 6, 12, 18 months later after I finish working with somebody and their entire world changes. Then they, from time to time, they send me like pictures of the kids or family events, holidays, and they just share little updates about how amazingly and perfectly imperfect they are doing, and just they share their gratitude for how it all started there when we started working together. So I'm eternally grateful for those. And this is the place from which I want to share with you today, okay? Even if we never worked together, even if you were never part of the Zen Superman program yet, this is why I want you to hear about what's possible. Because the experience, the results of our clients, the results of people who go and do this work, they prove it. For me, that's the only result I need. So my education is, if I skip all of my corporate education that you can look up anywhere on my LinkedIn, but the two key pieces of experience that are the most valuable for this work is that I'm a trauma-informed therapeutic coach and I'm a mental fitness coach. And those are the two things, if you know anything about the Zen Superman program, those are the two key things that actually help our clients not only heal once for all, heal that uncontrollable anger, heal the emotional shutdown that happens when you're overwhelmed, heal the never-ending people-pleasing, never feeling good enough and walking on eggshells around people, worried about making them upset and nobody loving you, you not being likable anymore. This is what we heal, and that's what we heal so fast because I developed this system. I combine these two techniques. Generational developmental childhood trauma healing, which is, I'm going now a speech track. I explained all of this in Mommy Tantrum Training. Sign up for one if you haven't done it yet. I explain it there, but just like a high-level explanation. This kind of trauma healing is going back to your childhood when your parents or siblings did something like that to you. They made you feel not good enough. They made you feel like not safe, and you had to fulfill a list of conditions to feel at least a little bit worthy of love. And the mental fitness piece is there for you then learning healthy way. How to deal with stress, communication, how to deal with bullies in a healthy way without having to outleash and be the aggressive one as well, or without being the numb and the hiding one, the one who's traumatized for the rest of your life so you don't get out of your shell for the fear of getting hurt again. Okay? These two techniques, this is out of the whole list of my certifications and experience, these two things are actually what helps the most. Okay? That's what we do. That's how we help, and that's why it works so freaking fast. And there have been done scientific studies on both, on how traumatic brain processes and how healed brain processes. On the mental fitness side, even more. There is a study of 500,000 participants, and they were even doing their MRI scans. And this is why I love doing mental fitness so much, because they showed through those MRI scans how fast it works in just 6 weeks of practice. So that's fabulous. I never heard about any kind of therapy or mindfulness meditations techniques that can help you basically practically rewire your brain so fast, so effectively. But even beyond all of this scientific hardcore data, the biggest proof for me is really the results of our clients inside the program. That's what makes me feel so freaking confident that some people are even thinking like, you're so arrogant. Does it mean that nothing else ever in the world would work? That you think you're the best? And like and if I don't work with you, then I'm screwed? No, this is not arrogance. I know there are tons of therapists. I know there are even more than ever. There's so many different techniques and parenting strategies, and just go and find yours. I'm not here to push anything for anybody. This is just me knowing what we can do. And I know for exactly what kind of trauma, what kind of personality, what kind of life situation, what kind of person, mom or dad, who we can help. I got very clear on that. We have very specific profile of people we can help because I have all of this experience of working with people for whom it worked really fast and with people with whom it did not, and we had to push and help, and still they got so results. So this is just coming from my experience, and this is what I want to share, because if you fit the profile and you self-identify, you can self-diagnose a little bit and filter out if yes or no in that Mommy Tantrum training, where I really go into detail self-diagnosis basically for you to help you see at least some first filters. But basically what it is, you care about your kids. Yeah, you are not agreeing with the philosophy that you have to punish, bribe, manipulate kids into obedience. You don't want to be that kind of authority, the old conservative style of parenting. You do not agree with that because you remember how that felt for you. You don't want your kids to feel the same way. And you're open to admitting that this is actually not even about your kids. Yeah, that if your kids are not listening, if they are very shy, or if they are very aggressive, that actually rather than trying to push them into working with some childhood psychologist and do ADHD assessment and put them on some medication so that they calm down, which is the easy way out for me. This is the lazy parenting way out. And no judging here, I understand, because these people, they have all those medical certifications and schools and diplomas. And so if they tell you, yes, it's the brain of your child, here's the pills, and just give them twice a day or whatever, I don't even know how often they take them, then you believe them, you trust them, and it seems then easy. Then you blame it all on the mental illness or mental situation of your child, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm off the hook. Here are your pills, my dear child, and you're misbehaving. Yeah, that's because your brain doesn't work properly. Okay, too bad, but I'm out of here, basically. Nothing for me to do. You're washing your hands and you're out. So, again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to tell you stop doing that. No, please listen to your doctors. However, yes, I call this the lazy way, because that takes your responsibility out. It puts it on the doctor to say what should happen, and it puts it on your kids. And you at maximum, you're the police, you're the controller, making sure the kid takes the medication. Maybe they give you some advice how to help your kids cool down if they have like super intense tantrums and breakdowns. Maybe they tell you what to do instead. I remember my mom used to take my brother when he was screaming so hard that his entire face became red and he couldn't even breathe. Like, what an intense anger and yelling he was doing. He was in such, I can still see it. It was like, even it was physically hurting me to see him. I can only imagine how it felt for him when he was having these intense screaming tantrums. My mom just grabbed him and put his face under very cold running water. That was the best advice she was given. And while, yes, it did help, like he stopped screaming in that moment because it was a shock for the body. But when I look at it from the perspective of today, and I don't even remember, I don't even understand, like it just came in, I even forgot about it for years. It just came out now that I should mention this. this was the best advice she was given. And from knowing what I know today, it even like now it even hurts my heart to think back on that experience, because it completely explains like everything that he went through from there on. I'm sure he would have been diagnosed with ADHD, my brother, when we were kids. He was not, because back then it was not the fashion, it was not so common to just like label the kids and throw them the medicine and just like out. So he was not diagnosed. But thinking back, it just, give me a moment, because it just hurts my heart. I completely forgot about it. I just remembered it now. I feel so sorry for him. Yeah, this is why I'm doing the work I do. Yeah. Not to judge the parents. I know you didn't mean to do it. I know my mom didn't mean to hurt my brother or me. But this is just the generational pain that I am here to heal. This is exactly the help I wish my mom got when we were little. Yeah. So let's do it. Huh? Let's talk about it. Why do I know that you are more powerful than any kind of psychologist or even ADHD medication? It is because you did have contribute to a lot of the symptoms of your child. No matter how much they tell you it's genetics, no matter how much you try to blame it on your abusive ex and the fact that he's fighting with you or whatever is happening, no matter how much you're trying to blame it on your busy schedule, which is completely normal, it is reality. I bet you have it tough. You have so much to do and no support. I get it. I'm not pointing fingers at you, but you need to take the responsibility. It is your doing partially. Yes? Okay. Now that that is clear, let's talk about why it's a good news, actually. Because once you take the responsibility, that means you're taking your power back and realizing that actually you had the power to do the damage a little bit, but that also means you have the power to heal. And my apologies to dads. Nothing wrong with you. I love all the dads who are involved in the education and raising of their children and in giving that unconditional love and support. But you as a mom, you will always be the most powerful person in your children's lives. Always. I'm sorry, Dad. Like, nothing beats the physical, emotional connection. Because you have not only 9 months extra, because you have them in your belly, if you biologically brought them to this world, but also because of all the care that followed. Yeah. The only exceptions would be if their mom unfortunately got out of the picture in some way and you, dad, have taken over. So now you're playing two roles, mom and dad. And in that case, your kids already have like a serious trauma of losing their mom. So that's even a special chapter. We can talk about it in another podcast episode. Let me know if that's the case for many people. I will do a podcast episode about that, how to heal the wound of growing up without a mom. Yeah. But in 99% of the cases, I'm talking here to you, mom. You're a powerful hero. Do you even realize how much? Do you realize how much your kids are watching you? Even when you think they are not listening, they don't care. Even when they're already teenagers and they're like, criticizing you. And they look like they're ashamed of being seen with you. They're watching you. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, if they're already teenagers, it is going to take more time because there have been years and years of you practicing some toxic relationship dynamic with them and of them seeing you how you treat yourself. But the younger your kids are, the more power you have and the faster not only your healing, but the healing of your kids will be. Okay? Why? Because if you dig deep enough underneath any problem, any symptom that is considered unwanted with your kids, they're in one of these categories, right? Either too shy, low self-confidence, beating themselves up, not having any friends, always being sad, crying at home, not being sociable, not seeming to enjoy their life, depressed, one extreme, or the other extreme, the aggressive bully having huge tantrums and not no attention and what is labeled as ADHD, and or combination of both. Maybe they are swinging like the pendulum between these two extremes. No matter what the symptom is, everything that I just described, everything, if you boil it down to the roots where it started, you will be able to find some common denominators. Maybe it was not even I'm not blaming it on you. Maybe it was not your fault. Maybe it's because you divorced their father, you had to change countries, maybe there was a war where you lived, maybe you were living in extreme poverty, maybe there was some bully in their school, right? Underneath everything, even things that were objectively out of your control, that you could not prevent happening your child, like from happening to your child, even then, there is one thing that you can do, always, always, always. Because trauma is not what happens to you or to your kids. Trauma is not what happened. Trauma is, what did you make it mean, and did you get enough support afterwards to heal it? That's why there might be victims even of like earthquakes, war. Some families, they completely shut down, break down, emotional, complete destruction. And some families go through it. And yes, they are hurt. Yes, it's tragic, but they don't get mentally broken by it. You had the same case from Holocaust. Extreme horrors and physical torture people went through. It was trauma for all of them, but some people survived it because they were strong here and they changed the meaning. There were even stories of parents who helped their kids go through a war because they just covered up like the painful, scary pieces, and they built their kids up on the inside. Yes? That's why no matter what happened to your kids, even if it was objectively out of your control, you can still support them by helping them create the safety that they can always rely on your unconditional love no matter what. That's one case. But more often than this shock trauma that is out of your control, yes, your kid's going through some like extremely traumatic one-off experience, more often than this, I work with parents who, as kids, and now their kids, are going through the developmental trauma, which is the opposite extreme. It's not one shocking, terrible, horrible event. It's a series of drop by drop by drop. Little things, if somebody on the outside would look, you would complain about it. Like, oh, your mom yelled at you because you folded the socks the wrong way when you were 4 years old. Like, what are you? You're such a snowflake. You have no resiliency. Me on the other side, I had to walk to school barefoot, like my grandpa. I had to walk to school barefoot because we had only one pair of shoes and we were 8 boys and we had to take turns. And only when it was my turn to wear the shoes finally, because it was the right size, they were already totally torn out. So even during the winter, I had to walk across the field in 1 meter of snow with no shoes and stuff. Yeah, okay, this is not a victim competition, okay? And yes, developmental trauma is, I sometimes say, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Because if you just cut your finger once, you're just like, oh, whatever, you don't even notice. But if you would go and cut on the same place 1,000 times in the next coming few days, ooh, you would have a problem. This is what developmental trauma is. And this is more often than the shocking events happening to your kids. This is what's happening to your kids. And this is where often you are responsible for that, because you're the one who's yelling, you're the one who's stressing, you're the one who does not give them the space to express themselves, you're the one who cannot. And I'm not blaming you for anything, okay? I'm giving you a big hug. I know you're not doing this. This is the last thing you want to damage your kids. I know. But this is what's happening, and yes, you are doing it. Why I'm saying that? Not to make you feel bad, but to tell you, once you heal that, once you can stay calm, like that eye in the middle of the eye of the tornado, Like, the spot in the middle when everything else around is in the air, flying in a huge speed, doing the distraction. You can be the center, calm space, safe space for kids. Okay, this is what's possible, and this is why it's so powerful, because not only for you will stop freaking out, you will actually be able to do more. Yeah, I will share a little bit of my example, not to put myself on a pedestal, like, look how great I am, and you should all try to be like me. No, but just to show you an example. I never, ever in my life was I so busy, and I cannot even use the word busy. Never ever before I had so much weight on my shoulders or like responsibilities on my plate. Okay, even before I had my daughter, I thought like, oh, I'm so busy and I'm doing such an important job, because I was working in the corporate world. I was the youngest of the team. There were people 40, 45 years old. I was a 30-year-old kid in a leadership position in an international company, being given assignments around the world, living and by myself. Doing all these jobs that people were dreaming of doing, being twice as old as I was. A lot of pressure to prove myself as a girl from Eastern European country, where everybody was just judging me. Oh, you're here just to grab some rich Western guy and never have to work again. I had to prove them all wrong. I have to work twice, 3 times as hard and as long as anybody else. I had to prove how smart I was and how caring and how much value I had, so that I would overcome all of these judgments. Yeah. So I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I thought, well, this is like, wow, the heat is on. And I felt super under pressure. Yeah. When I look at it now, I'm laughing with compassion. I'm not judging the younger version of myself. I'm looking at it with compassion. I'm sorry she suffered so much. It was necessary part of my journey. I wouldn't have it any other way, because it took me where I am today. And I can have lots of compassion for women who are still stuck in that, trying to prove themselves good enough and trying to build and support their ego through the external achievement. So I completely get it. No judgment, no me trying to look down at you. No, because I get it, absolutely. But when I look at it today, like, no, I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I don't even have 9-to-9 job, because I'm running a business. My hours can be all over the place, and that would be actually a recipe for disaster, which is what it was at the beginning, because I was totally burning out as a starting up entrepreneur. Because you're not doing just one job, you're doing 10 jobs when you're trying to build up something out of nowhere. You're trying to create a business, because then you're the tech guy, you're the marketing guy, you're the copywriter, you're the client service, you're the coach, by the way. Like, that's what everybody thinks. Like, I'll be doing coaching, it's so easy. I'll just work a few hours a day and that's it. And like, no, you have to be doing all of these other things, not even talking about accounting and legal and then it was very easy to start burning down. Luckily for me and for my daughter, that was the time when I started doing this work, this healing. So I applied everything that I'm teaching and preaching now. I applied it on myself, so that helped me get in check. But when I look at it now, a few years fast forward, I have more responsibilities than I've ever had before. And yet, I feel space. I don't feel squeezed. I don't feel to be a victim of my busy life, because I don't feel it's that busy. It is as busy as I allow it to get. And it has nothing to do with the look of my Outlook calendar. Even on the days and weeks, because I have those, when my calendar is totally filled in from 8 in the morning until 11 at night, sometimes I make a choice to make it this way. Even on these weeks, I'm not feeling stressed out, because it's my choice, because I took control, and because I know how to create pockets of space and peace in the middle of it, in the middle of the heat. I don't break. And this is what your kids need. Not only so that they would get an example of how to manage their lives, because their lives will not always be under control. Yes, there will always be things that are coming left and right. Yeah, in your family, at your work, with your physical health, anything happening, things will be happening. You never have 100% control. But you being an example, showing your kids how you go through that, even through the high heat, high pressure moments, this is how you build resilience in them. And they see you, they're watching all of this. It's not just those moments if you yell or not yell at them when you need them to brush their teeth, go to bed, yada-da-da, parenting, classic stuff. They're watching your relationship with yourself. They're watching your relationship with time. They're watching your relationship with your body. They're watching your communication with other people. What are the things that you're afraid of? They can smell it. And the younger they are, especially when they are younger than 6 years old, they adopt your beliefs. Everything that you believe, even without telling them, they automatically take it from you. It's like there's no critical thinking, logical thinking filter, because for them, you're their role model, you're their goddess. So this is why I'm the most excited to work with moms of younger kids, because that's the easiest. Once you heal, then we very, very quickly see the kids turning around as well. We are having posts in our private Facebook group every week, several posts of, I just did this with my kid. Just last week, I remember there was one mom who was sharing, my daughter told me an experience about the camp, and hi, you will know who I'm talking about. Hi, thank you for the example. And she was saying, my daughter told me in the evening coming back from the camp, they had like the most ugliest, disgusting toilets because it was in the middle of the forest or something. So it was I don't want to be too graphic, but she was like, oh, mommy, I need you to pee. And it was impossible. There were so many dead animals. And she was like, what animals? She was like dead bugs. And even on the toilet seat, and I wanted to use my sock to wipe the toilet seat, but then I would need to be without the sock there. And I was like, one more thought, more disgusting than the other one. And then she said, you know what, mommy? I did the exercise that we are doing together at home to calm down. And I actually got an idea. I went out to the forest and I made a pee-pee there. I'm not going to do it in this disgusting toilet. And she was just so freaking happy. I became a coach of my daughter and it's working. And the methods that I am using for me to calm down in the middle of a stressful, high pressure moment so that I don't shout at my daughter, she actually learned it with me, from me. And now she has the brain pathway to start using it when she is freaking out. And I'm not even there. She told me only in the evening. So I was so freaking proud. This was a huge celebration in our entire group. Just one example out of many. Yeah. And this is where the girl was directly using the technique. But I want to talk to you because it goes even beyond. You don't even have to teach your kids the techniques. Underneath, remember how we started this podcast episode, why kids are either super low self-confidence or then aggressive, narcissistic manipulators who don't respect anybody, anything. It is because underneath, they don't feel loved enough. They don't feel heard. They don't feel respected. They don't feel loved unconditionally. They know your checklist of conditions they have to fulfill so that then they can get a hug and some approval. And this is what's underneath everything for you and for your kids. If I would take 99.99% of people on this planet, if somebody would work with them just to dig deep enough underneath the root of their whatever problem, basically, money, work, relationships, health, anything, you could boil it down to this core. Okay. And that's why this is not just a rant about how screwed up the world is and how it's terrible for you and your kids to get caught up in it. No, this is the powerful piece. Because once you heal that, once you feel good enough, once you feel confident about being you, the real you, not having to put on any hyperachiever, super hardworking controller, perfectionist, pleaser mask, Once that can go, you can have a real connection with your kids. You can be human, making mistakes. You will allow your kids making mistakes while giving them safety, like maintenance. Is that English word? We use it in Czech to say like the border, the fence around the field. So they can play inside the field. My daughter, you're free to put on any clothes you want, any color type of clothes, but these are the limits. This is it. Like, it's the winter, so of course you're not going to go in shorts and sandals, right? This is the limit. Okay? My child, you can choose what kind of veggies you want for dinner, but there are 3 kinds of veggies and you will get at least one of them. Okay? No, you cannot have ice cream or pizza because right now we are having this and 3 kinds of veggies. You have a choice. You are in control of your experience. Choose which of 3. You can have all 3 or 2 or just 1, but you are going to eat. Okay? This is what healthy boundaries are about. Yes? Doesn't mean giving your kids total freedom, like, yeah, of course it's okay, draw on the wall, destroy the sofa, drop your sibling out of the window. Of course not. There need to be boundaries. But giving your kids the freedom to move without those boundaries so that they feel they have at least something under control. Because if not, and if you tighten it too much, and if you observe them and tell them, step here, step here, step here, and if you're kind of like a director of every move and like a police punishing them for making a wrong step, not giving them enough space and independence and autonomy, then it's going to fire back at you. And we have a podcast episode about food problems for kids, because this is usually how it manifests. The last thing they can have under control is if they vomit the food you force into them. Yeah, and then that's why you have so many eating disorders in this world today, especially for kids. Yeah. So this is what healthy parents who heal their own pain and feeling of not good enough, this is what a healthy parent then feels like. You are providing these healthy boundaries with enough space in the middle of it for your kids to operate and feel in control and feel confident that they can make the right choice. Because if they bump up into that boundary, you're not going to yell at them, you're not going to punish them, you're not going to blame them for your stuff and your anger and your stress. You will connect with them from the place of unconditional love. Just like you wish somebody did for you when you made a mistake or you didn't have a good day, you felt like crying. Yes? Because this, when it's done, day in, day out, little by little, just like you got hurt by 1,000 paper cuts, it got several thousands of instances for you to end up where you are today, not feeling good enough. Then it's the same thing that needs to happen. Thousands of instances where instead of yelling and blaming and stressing, you will be connecting from the place of unconditional love and you will be correcting the boundaries. Am I having too tight boundaries, not giving enough space for my kids to breathe? Or is it too loose and nobody actually knows what the boundaries are, because one day I say yes, one day I say no, and then everybody's frustrated? Where is the right balance? And it's so hard because the balance even changes, right? It cannot be the same thing as when they were 1 year old. It will be different when they are 3, 4, and then it will be different when they are 8 and 9. And it will keep moving. There is no one right way of doing that. That's why I'm always telling everybody, you're not just the best psychologist for your child, you're the best parenting expert for your child. Because once you heal your stuff and it's no longer like hiding your eyes, once you can really see what's happening with your kids, then you will be able to help them. Then you will be able to find what is the right balance between boundaries and giving freedom. Yes, that's why I say that one healed parent, especially when it's a mom, is more powerful than a team of childhood psychologists, because you will start healing your kids' hurt emotions of not feeling good enough, not being respected, not being listened to. This is where it needs to start. And yes, it will be accumulation of many situations where you will do it right, rather than all those many situations where you didn't do it perfectly because you didn't know. And that's okay. Yes? But this is where you can take the power back. And this is why I put like why this episode is so long. Because I really wanted to make sure that you get it. That you not only take it as like, oh, I'm such a bad mother and I should be ashamed and I feel so guilty and like putting it all on you. It's a normal reaction, but as long as you stay in this victim and blaming, beating yourself up mode, the less energy and attention you have actually for doing something about it and helping your kids out. Because you can. You don't have to rely always on the doctors. You don't have to rely on medications. There's a lot you can do once you start healing yourself. Yes? Sending a big hug. I know, this was big. Breathe. And the good news is that you can do it because there are hundreds of moms who have done it already. The recipe is there. It doesn't take much time. All it takes is your commitment. Do you feel you're worth it? Do you feel your kids are worth it? If yes, we will link up the Mommy Tantrum Training here so that you can find out more exactly what is it that we are doing. Do you do more of that self-diagnosis for you to check if it could help you and your kids too? And ideally, I would love to see you there live so that you can ask me any of your yes, but questions, all of your skeptical voices in your head, like it sounds too good to be true. I welcome it all. I'm not going to judge you for any questions. I know it's completely normal to question. And I'm here to answer all of your questions. So come for that training so that I don't have to have just a looking into an empty camera, but I can actually speak to you and we can exchange and you can get the help you need so much. I appreciate you. Generational trauma breaker. I know this is not an easy path. It would be much easier to book some sessions for your kids with psychologists and give them some medication. I know that would be the easiest stuff. You're not here for the easy way out. You know that once you would heal and you would help your kids find a healthy way how to handle their big emotions, this goes the ripple effect, just like it's so much more. The value, what you're getting, you're literally saving and transforming not just your life, but your kids' future and their lives as well. So I appreciate you. And I feel really honored that you would give me your precious time and you would let me get into your ears and into your head. And maybe a part of you is opening up to considering this as a possibility. So thank you for that. I'm going to see you in the next episode. Until then, take very good care, Supermom. Why can't you stop yelling at your kids? And no, it's not the stress, lack of sleep, kids not listening, fighting, hitting, no support, time pressure, ADHD, hormones. No, moms around the world are doing it regardless. How? Join us for the upcoming Mommy Tantrum Training and find out too.